Hello, fourth graders. We are going to continue on to chapter 3 of Natural Nebraska, and we are going to do lesson 2 today. And as you can see today, our biggest focus is on the Great Plains. And for the Great Plains, we have this whole area right here covers our Great Plains, but Nebraska does have two land regions, and our other land region is the Till Plains. And before we move on to the different sections, different parts of the Great Plains, let's look at the Till Plains first. Okay, and for our Till Plains, it is a great place for agriculture. Till actually means dark soil. And in the soil, there is also a mixture of sand, gravel, and small rocks. There are large rivers and streams that will go through the Till Plains. And actually, if you look on here on our map here, this stream or this river that borders Nebraska, and Nebraska here is actually the Missouri River. And this helps, we know there's lots of trees along here, along the river, and this helps keeps our soil nice and rich. Another thing is that there are a couple of very large cities in this part of the region, and Omaha would be one part of the region. And Lincoln is also located in this part of the region. And we have been to both of those places, and let's see, Omaha is right about the river there, and then Lincoln's not too far. And we will be going to Lincoln, to our state, which Lincoln is the state capital. We will be visiting there this May, so that'll be exciting. We know that's in the Till Plains. And the Till Plains, it's not just city life. As a reminder, it is a great place for agriculture because of the till ground they have. As it's very, very rich soil. And most of Nebraska's corn and soybeans are grown in the Till Plains region. And people also grow apples and other fruits here, which apples is huge in Nebraska and Bellevue area. But so keep in mind, when we talk about the Till Plains, it's not just because Omaha and Lincoln are located there, doesn't mean that they don't farm. or they don't have farming ground. Okay, let's look at our different parts of the Great Plains. The Great Plains, one of my favorite areas to talk about. And as you can see, remember, as a reminder, this is the Till Plains right here. Okay, since we have two regions, our first region is Till Plains, and we have the Great Plains. Now, the Great Plains are split up in different parts because of all the different types of landforms. In the Great Plains, we also see like flatlands, hills, and rivers. And in the different parts of the Great Plains, we are going to look at the high plains. Okay, and we have the Badlands and the sand hills. And I know in our being here at Palmer, we're very familiar with the sand hills because we actually have a mixture of the Great Plains and our sand hills in that area there. Okay, because I know around here, even though I live about 30 miles away from Palmer, in my area, we have less sand than you guys do. So I always thought that was interesting, and we're only 30 miles apart. So let's go ahead and get started with one of our first part of the plains, and let's talk about the sand hills. Okay, with the sand hills, first of all, it has short grasses, cactus, and yucca plants. And then also it is great ranch land for cattle and horses. And the hills are covered with these short grasses. And if you're not sure what a yucca plant is, and I'll have to show you a picture of it in class, but they're these they're like short shrubs. They look kind of spiky looking. I'll definitely have to show you a picture tomorrow of a yucca plant. And then the grass actually helps keep the sand from blowing away. So that's how the sand can stay down there. We don't have, or the grass is just keeping it down. And these hills are dry. The grass does not grow very thick or tall, but the grasses are still very rich. And of course, like I said before, the sandhills have wonderful ranch land for cattle and horses. And being from the Palmer area, you are familiar, like I said, with the sandhills. And we know how those roads can get because they're so sandy. We come in from recess and we have a bunch of sand, and that's not even from the sandbox, but due to the natural part of Nebraska. So that's one of my favorite parts of Nebraska to look at. But let's look at the other parts. Okay, we now have the high plains. Now, the high plains they have dry sandy areas, and there's called buttes. And what buttes are, they're high, steep tablelands. High, steep tablelands with almost flat tops. So it's kind of like a plateau, how we talked about plateaus. But they almost have a flat top. So here are three big major landforms, and they're very, very popular. First, let's look at Scotts Bluff. Okay, and you notice that we have the high steep area here. This is very steep here, but that top is not completely flat. It is very rigid. It's very bumpy. There's lots of little dents in it. Definitely don't want to climb on top of that. It would be a challenge. And then we have our Courthouse Rock. Our Courthouse Rock here, once again, high, steep hills and no flat top. Bumpy, 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 bumpy. And then last but not least, the one that you are most familiar with is Chimney Rock. And with Chimney Rock, this one looks completely different compared to the Courthouse Rock and the Scotts Bluff. This one it's still high and steep, but it's more pointed on top. It's not a perfect point, and we definitely do not consider that as a mountain. It's not high enough, and it is just a unique landform that we do have in Nebraska here. And we also, if you notice, in the high plains, we know we have like these deep canyon areas. So this is a canyon area in our Courthouse Rock here. But the high plains, beautiful, beautiful place. Many people will go out to vacation here, and it is quite a ways away from Palmer, Nebraska. Okay, and our next land area is the Badlands. Now, for the Badlands, it is a region that is rough and rocky. There are strange shaped rocks, and there are very few plants and animals, but snakes like it here. And then when I talk about snakes in this area, definitely we have, because we're out at the Panhandle there too, out west, they have more and more rattlesnakes. So they do have dangerous snakes here. Unlike we can, there's not too many of them, but it is possible that we could see a rattlesnake in our area, but they are more common up in these Badlands. And another part I wanted to show you about the Badlands are the toadstools. These right here are toadstools. See how the rocks are formed like stools? Okay, this picture is actually taken from the Toadstool Park. Okay, and of course these are also falls under the category of strange shaped rocks. I would definitely say that we have some strange shaped rocks there, but something unique. Toadstool Park. We do not have this in our area. We would have to go up into the Badlands to see this. Okay, and our last area of the region that we will be talking about is the Wildcat Hills and Pine Ridge. And the Wildcat Hills and Pine Ridge is another popular place where people will go and visit. And these regions have very high hills that look like low mountains, short grasses and pine trees, and, well, this is kind of a scary part, but they do have mountain lions up there. There are actually mountain lions located all over Nebraska, but with the mountain lions, they are more common up in these wildcat hills. They're actually common. I mean, you'll see them a little bit in the high plains, but the Wildcat Hills and Pine Ridge, they have a lot more wildlife there. Bighorn sheep also live in the higher area. Bighorn sheep loves being up here. Let's see here. And there's just all sorts of different kinds of others. I know that sometimes from Wyoming, there would be some, actually elk would come down there too, and antelope. Okay, so that's kind of cool that we have that in Nebraska. Not too many people think that we have those type of animals in Nebraska, but we sure do. People who visit these regions are usually surprised to find that not all of Nebraska is flat. As you can see with the Wildcat Hills and Pine Ridge, and we have the Badlands, the High Plains, it's not just flat ground and cornfields and cornfields and cornfields. We have these beautiful landforms in the Great Plains of Nebraska, which is pretty cool. And let's see here. Okay, and last but not least, here's a reminder for you. You can watch this video again if there's something you didn't catch, just to review, or you can read the pages from 52 to 57 in your Nebraska history book. There are even more pictures in your Nebraska history book that you can look over and look at. I am looking forward to discussing with you about these two different types of land regions. We had our land regions of the Great Plains and the Till Plains. And just a reminder, we do live in the Great Plains. And Palmer is a little bit in the Sandhills. So that's pretty cool to see. Otherwise, I will see you tomorrow in class. Thank you.